Let me ask one other final question then. Say two people get married, Catholic marriage, all of the formalities are done and everything. Now one person says, I'm no longer Catholic. I'm just abandoning the faith.
Okay.
How does the church respond to that? What are the obligations? Do the obligations still, are they still considered to be obligatory to the person who's left the faith? Or how does all of that play out?
In the section of Canon Law that talks about the grounds of separation of spouses,
Mm-hmm.
one of the legitimate grounds for separating would be if the other spouse makes it impossible for oneself or the children to practice the faith.
Mm-hmm.
So, say you got minor children, and one of the, like you said, one of the spouses quits being Catholic, thinks the Catholic Church is stupid, and refuses to let the kids go to Mass. They can't go to Catholic schools anymore. They can't talk about Catholic things around the house, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a legitimate reason to be separated.
Mm-hmm.
So the Catholic parent and the child should be left alone in peace to try as much as possible to have a household that's promoting Catholic principles.
Mm-hmm.
That's Canon Law. Now, how that would play out, who's going to decide, who's going to kick that guy out of the house, who's going to make him be quiet. We can't solve everything.
Can she get a divorce at that time then?
That would be a legitimate reason for separation of spouses. And for Catholics, civil divorce is still only a separation of spouses.
Okay.
Because...
So it does not enable them to remarry.
Right. My understanding of divorce
Mm-hmm.
is that once you're divorced, you're not married anymore, and you're both free to remarry.
Mm-hmm.
For Catholics, civil divorce is just really a separation of spouses,
Mm-hmm.
where there's some civil enforcement, maybe of financial stuff or
Mm-hmm.
tax stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was in charge,
Mm-hmm.
from what I've researched, in a situation like that, if let's just blame it on the dad,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay.
You had to pick somebody.
Yeah.
I could blame the mom. So
Yeah.
if the dad refuses to let the mom and the kids discuss, practice, be Catholic in their household, then the
Mhm.
dad would have to be removed from the household. However, the dad would still be obligated to contribute his share towards the good of the spouses.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he's going to have to go live in his sister's garage. I don't know.
Versus right now, the abandoned spouse ends up living in the sister's garage.
I know. And then in the civil forum, if the civil forum would respect the arbitration ruling from the Catholic judge, since both parties agreed that's what they went into.
Yeah.
Then
that's
in
fair.
the civil forum,
Yeah.
they maybe would have a civil divorce, but all the paperwork from the civil divorce would actually just be the church's paperwork that says
Yeah.
dad has to still support a lot, and he
So-
can't drain the bank accounts to go off with his new girlfriend.
That's very interesting that you're talking about the arbitration and stuff like that, because we do have places where arbitration is encouraged. Maybe what we need to be starting to focus on is that arbitration of, say, the Catholic Church would be recognized, because that would actually help to respect the religious liberty which the state right now is violating.
You may have seen that one of the resources that's available on Mary's Advocate's
Mm-hmm.
website is a document where parties could sign it, like right the day they get married or
Mm-hmm.
anytime after they get married. And the purpose of the document is to be an enforceable prenuptial or postnuptial agreement.
Okay.
And the beef of the meaty part of the document is they're designating a third-party arbitrator in a case of any conflict.
And the
the
third-party
arbitrator they're designating for Catholics is those who have competence to implement the Catholic Code of Canon Law for the marriage. And I'm trying to get any kind of diocesan authority to see this as a good idea.
It's a great idea.
Catholics have a different view of end-of-life issues.
Mm-hmm.
So where euthanasia might be fine, or letting someone, denying someone drink until
Mm-hmm.
they die is acceptable in many medical communities.
Mm-hmm.
But for Catholics, that's totally not acceptable. If someone's not dying, you don't deny them water and nutrition.
Right.
So we have this principle. I've heard it called Catholic Directive.
Mm-hmm.
Living will.
Mm-hmm.
So there are diocesan websites that recommend people sign a living will where you institute a Catholic directive for your own care. And I see that as trying to say and control how outsiders might be able to deprive you of water and nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would like us to have a Catholic directive for marriage. So
that is a great idea.
We should control,
Yeah.
have this go into marriage
Yeah.
saying, I want to have some say in how outsiders will deprive me of my children and property.
Right.
Because that's what happens in divorce.
Right.
And let's say we want it done by the Catholic directive, both parties going in.
that to me sounds like a very reasonable idea. That should be. Why would they not accept that?
And
Why do we have to take? Why do we have to accept the arbitration
right.
of a person who could care less, who has no type of faith, who basically just wants to get the deal done? Because as you know, many of these attorneys, whatever it may be, they just want the deal done. They want to make their money with as little work as possible.
Yeah.
Get it done. Move on. That's what they're always saying. But true arbitration and something like this, it's a very valuable service.
Well, we on our website, I have a free version that anyone could get. Is the Catholic version, but we also have a non-Catholic version, and there's an entity called, I want to say, Christian Arbitration Association,
Mm-hmm.
and it's some of the same people who are doing the Peacemakers. There was this organization, Peacemakers,
Mm-hmm.
and there are lawyers peppered around the whole United States that are part of this network, and they do Christian arbitration.
Yeah.
So you could, if you're not under the Roman Catholic Code of Canon Law, fine. Put yourself under the arbitration of this entity of Christian arbitration.
Yeah,
And
that would be great.
and the idea is that it's an enforceable prenup or postnup agreement.
The church has really abandoned marriage. They have surrendered, capitulated to culture on this, and they need to get it back. Unless we do so, we're in a world of hurt. The reason I'm bringing this to a close is because I know you have to leave right now. Tell me again, tell us again about your organization, website to go to, if anybody wants to help you with the work, either support you or anything like that.
Right. So
Because you're doing a great job, and I know that being in a nonprofit as you are,
I started Mary's Advocates in 2004 as a defendant in a no-fault divorce who was stunned about how unjust everything was. And I felt like there had to be something more in my own Catholic teaching because all of this just seems so wrong.
Yeah.
That Catholics are running around acting like this isn't acceptable. And I actually found out it's not acceptable at all, and we have wonderful Code of Canon Law that I'm trying to get implemented.
Right.
So Mary's Advocates has the website, marysadvocates.org. And I was doing it in my spare time when my kids were gone. I think it helped, had something to focus on when my kids were gone.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting a job working outside the home and so on. But about 4 years ago, the job I had was eliminated, and I've been doing Mary's Advocates work full-time since then. So I'm doing a lot more study and a lot more writing, helping parties who want to get the Catholic Code of Canon Law implemented. I kind of ghostwrite letters for people, or I suggest letters because I've got the Canon Law research behind me in a lot of ways. So I want, send to me, especially Catholics who are abandoned, who want to have this, try to encourage the Catholic Church to implement our own Code of Canon Law.
Right.
And we need donations because I'm doing this full time.
Yeah.
Only because people are donating.
Yeah.
It's very uncertain.
Well, let me say that
that
a couple of the people that I work with, I've met through you talking with them.
Yeah, so-
I just want to say it works. What you're doing is great. Appreciate you letting me come by this morning.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
Thanks so much.
All right, thanks.